And we welcome you into this Monday edition of the Spotlight. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Drew Brent, and if you're in the market to buy or sell your home, give us a call today. It's 479-968-5668 or cruise on over to russellvilleliving.com. Speaking of cruising, if you're heading out west, there is a little town that you need to stop into. It is the home of one Matt Bewley and Jessica Gunn. They are representing the Clarksville Chamber of Commerce. We've not had a whole lot of Clarksville representation on this show, so I'm excited to have you both here. Good afternoon, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I cannot fathom in my mind how much Clarksville seemingly has grown in the last even just 5 years. There's so much that's happening. I know that there's a lot of conversations happening about the levy. There's a lot of conversations about new businesses that are popping up everywhere. So, guys, take over. What's happening in Clarksville?
So a lot, obviously. I think there's a lot of change in administration, and I think we just got tired of being where we were. We wanted to grow. We wanted to be who we wanted to be, and there wasn't a reason not. There wasn't a reason not to. And so, instead of saying, okay, well, we can't do this or can't do that, it became like, okay, how? What if? What would it look like? How do we get, restaurants downtown? How do we revitalize it? And so, it actually, for me, started back in 2018. We started doing music on the square, and with that, it just kind of grew. So every Friday, we started doing music on the square, and it would get rained out every Friday.
Right.
And so it was like, okay, there's way too much logistics going into this. We've got to figure out something different. So once that happened, we're like, okay, there was a burnt down dry cleaners right there where now the levee sits. So it was a half-built building with an opening, but it had a cover, and so we could have music on music down there, and if it got rained, then it would still work out. And so that was kind of the start of it. Once we did that we had a great response. There was over 400 people showed up for the first one, and it was great.
Wow.
And so the city was like, okay, let's invest in this. We need to do something with that. So they tore down the property. It was crumbling. And we did save some of the I-beams. There's some glass bricks in there that we're going to use for this new location. So there's a lot of material that we're able to save, just to re-put into the new location and the new facility. So just going with that, we started First Fridays. The chamber started First Fridays, first Friday of every month, and again, just getting food vendors and music, but really just building community. That's what we needed. Just everybody come together. We all wanted this, and just once we built that community, it just seemed like things started getting easier.
Okay, I've got several more questions, but I need to backtrack a little bit because I didn't properly introduce you. Jessica, you're the executive director at the Chamber, correct? Yes, Matt, what is your official title?
So I am the community relations director at the Chamber.
Okay,
yeah.
So you're custom built for things exactly like this.
Yes, basically.
All right. So let's go back. You were talking about 2018. Let's go back to 2018 or so. We're having a conversation about, hey, what does Clarksville need to be? What do we want to be? How do we want to be it? Who's involved in that conversation? What's the public input go into that? Generally, how do you go from point A to point B when you're trying to move that conversation forward?
So the university was a huge role, and it makes sense. They have, lots of students. We're a college town that wasn't a college town.
Yeah.
And we saw that, and we got that, and they got that. And so the university played a huge role in a lot of this moving forward and reinvestment and revitalization, just because they need to provide something for their students to go do throughout the week. You know what I mean? They want to make an experience for the college students to where they want to be there, and they don't come in freshman, sophomore, and transfer junior, senior.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's got to be a balance. And even then, we'd have students that would drive to Russellville because we didn't have restaurants, or we didn't have, whatever the case may be. So they needed to change that. They saw that in order for the university to grow, that the community had to grow as well.
And Matt, I think this pivots to a really great question for you, because as a community relations guy, the conversation has to pivot to, well, if we need community, how do we build that? In your mind, what does that process look like, and what is your strategy moving forward?
Well, and I think, Jessica won't mention this about herself, but, I've been with the Chamber about a year. And one thing that I've really noticed is just kind of that growth that's happening in Clarksville. I've lived in Clarksville now for 3 years, and when I first moved to Clarksville, I'm like, oh boy, like there's really not much going on here. There's not really any events. There's just not a whole lot to do as far as like community involvement.
Right.
And so, starting with that burn down dry cleaners, it sounds kind of silly to have a concert at a burn down dry cleaners in downtown, but, Jessica and her team at the chamber at the time really knew that by doing that and creating that and being consistent with it over time, that it would build that community in that downtown area. And so now if you drive by and you look at that levee stage and you're able to see just the beauty of the brick and the stage and just all the other pieces that are kind of going into that, you don't necessarily think about it being a burn down dry cleaners, but you also don't see like the legwork that went into a lot of those types of things. Jessica actually had gotten 2 different grants to help build that stage.
I want to clarify, the city got one and I got one.
Okay, sorry.
So throw that out.
Yes, we want to make sure to give credit where credit is due. But the city's been so instrumental in just helping to actually do the project and build the stage and do those types of things. But even as we do more events, both the chamber and the city doing those types of events, what I'm noticing is just that coming together of community and people coming out to those types of events in our downtown. And the more we have down there, the more familiarized people are with it, because they're just not used to going to events. Like I said, when I moved there 3 years ago, there wasn't any of this kind of stuff happening. And so just changing that mindset from there's nothing to do in Clarksville to wow, there's so much that we can do in Clarksville to have fun. I think it's been really cool to watch that transition.
How does that transition happen among the public, though? I mean, I know that in Russellville, the conversation has always been the same. If I need to go school shopping, or I need to go do this, or I'm going to go do that, it's almost, intrinsically trained in your mind. You're going to go to Conway, or you're going to go to, Fort Smith or wherever. So there has to be a mindset change, not just from leadership, but there has to be a mindset change from the public. Tell me, how has the chamber started to move that needle a little bit?
So honestly, like advertising, just doing digital ads is what we found to be really helpful. Just because, again, like we had done events back in 2018, 2019, prior COVID, but it only kind of went to your circle, you know what I mean? So like your business network knew about it, your volunteer groups knew about it, your committees knew about it, and then their friends and family. And of course, you have organic shares on Facebook or whatever, but it was kind of just a smaller hub. But what I've really found is like just by advertising on digital media, like you're reaching these other people who had no idea. And then even in just like the consistency of just doing again. So like in October we had a fall fest down at the levee stage, and like people were just driving by, and so like there's kind of not an entrance, but like we were still standing there kind of by the front. So when I saw people walk up, and I was like, hey, hey, welcome, and just being friendly. And how'd you hear about it? And like, oh, we're just driving by and thought we'd check it out. Wonderful. Are you from the community? And, oh, we just moved here last year. Oh, perfect. And so, but it was just, we had so many different people that are from California and Texas and all these places just moving in. I think that there's a sense of wanting that belonging and wanting that community. And so I think it's just a prime opportunity too for us to do these type of events, because it gives people what they want. And especially after COVID in the last 2 years, it's sucked. Like,
right, yeah.
We are ready to go and to have and to do and to be. And so I think it's just timing and just helping to get outside of your normal circle.
Yeah, and kind of to add on to that, you're really kind of talking about 2 separate things too, because you talk about like going shopping, for example. Our community really does have that shop local mindset. And so we've done some things like the Shop Don't Ship campaign that we did this past year. We knew shipping was an issue because of COVID and because of everything that had happened with kind of some of that transit. And I think people, a lot of times, they don't even realize what some of those mom and pop shops actually have inside of them. So being able to go and do Facebook Lives in some of the shops, or doing the Shop Don't Ship campaigns.
You gotta tell that story of the family.
Yes, we actually did. We did a Shop Don't Ship campaign. And basically the premise of it was we did a map of Clarksville, and we had businesses, kind of like a character map on there. And so the goal of it was that as an individual, if you visited all of these locations, then you got a chance to win. And it was like $1,500 worth of gift cards.
Nice.
From all of these different locations.
Participated.
So, but you had to go to each location and get a little stamp. If you bought something from that location, you get an additional chance to win. So, depending on how many stores you went and bought things at, you would get an additional chance to potentially win all the gift cards. So, we launched the campaign, marketed it, branded it. It was really successful, but it was really cool too because there was actually a family from Russellville that drove to Clarksville and with their family in tote, and they went to every single one of those businesses in Clarksville, and they were able to visit and buy some things and just kind of make a shopping fun day out of that event. And when they came back to the chamber to turn in their sheets, they're like, we had no idea all of this was in Clarksville, Arkansas. Like, this is so cool that you guys put this on, just because like we just really didn't know what all there was to offer there. And so, I think, even in small communities, you're right. People are gonna go shopping in larger cities sometimes because, maybe we don't have that particular product, or it's easier to find a variety of products. But, a lot of times people don't realize some of those smaller places in town have those products, and it may cost $5 or $10 more, to buy it locally. But those are, that's stimulating your economy and coming back to that goal of, keeping those dollars local. So
I do want to add, so we have a Hispanic business shop downtown La Herradura that they have like colognes and perfumes, but it's like stuff you get at like Macy's and Dillard's, and like you have to go to the mall to buy, like, higher names. And so like once I found that, I was like, thank goodness, like I don't have to go up there just to get my perfume. Like
right.
It's a big deal. But again, like you don't know until you see, and it's impressive.
Yeah.
We were talking to Jessica Gunn and Matt Bewley over at the Clarksville Chamber of Commerce. Easy for me to say on a Monday. When we come back, we've got more from these two and all the things that are happening in Clarksville. Stay with the Spotlight comes back to you right after this.
Hey, this is Brad with Lathis Realty, and I talk to people all day long, and the word around the campfire is that housing prices are going to crash. Okay, let me dispel this rumor right now. The high prices are here to stay, folks. As long as we have people moving here from out of state and there are more buyers looking for houses than houses listed, it's an inventory thing. Prices are going to remain like they are. Now, if you're looking to buy and you're waiting for this, let me give you some advice. Rates at the first of the year were around 3.25. Right now they're at 5.25. So if you waited from the first of the year until now, you've cost yourself some money. And if you're renting, you're paying 100% interest. So the longer you wait if you're looking to buy, the more it's going to cost you to do that. Strong seller's market. If you're looking to sell, put your house on the market. We can probably sell it for more than it's listed for. If you're looking to buy, there's no better time than now. If you wait, it's only going to cost you more. Again, this is Brad Neiman with the Lathis Realty, and if you need to buy or sell, give us a call at 479-968-5668 or log on to russellvilleliving.com. We'd love to help you. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later.
And we welcome you back into the Spotlight. Thanks so much for joining us. Joined here by Jessica Gunn and Matt Bewley from the Clarksville Chamber of Commerce. Matt, before the break, you said something, and I really wanted to elaborate on it. You've been a Clarksvillian now for 3 years.
Yeah.
But you were not always a Clarksvillian.
That's right.
And the reason why I bring that up is because you go from the mindset of, I don't know if there's a whole lot to do here, to working for the chamber, promoting how much there is to do here. What changed your mind?
There's just so much in Clarksville just to be proud of. I mean, really, like my favorite thing about Clarksville is just the diversity there, honestly. And that in my role, I've really been able to see kind of the diversity, just in people. We've got, just some great people there, in Clarksville. The university has a lot of international students that we work closely with. We've had them as interns at the chamber, and wow, they're just fantastic. Like, they're so awesome. And, that whole process has been a lot of fun. We've got diversity in businesses. We've got so many different types of businesses and different sized businesses, different sized industries. There's places in Clarksville, in Johnson County, when you go and you visit with them and they're like, oh yeah, we manufacture these robots and we ship them all over the world. And you're like,
Yeah. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
In Johnson County, we do that? And they're like, yeah, we actually, there's 2 or 3 other mom and pop type robotic shops around here, and they do the exact same thing. And you're like, wow, like I would have had no idea that even existed in Johnson County had I not worked for the chamber. But it's important for people to know that that's what's in their backyard. Like there's so many different types of jobs and different levels of income and different levels of whatever that fits all types of people there. And so it's just really cool to see just kind of that diversity that's happening in Clarksville. Not to mention, it's just gorgeous. Like it's just a beautiful place to be. We love nature. My family loves nature. We have all kinds of waterfalls. We have all kinds of hiking trails, parks. I can leave my house and walk down the street and get right on a trailhead and walk anywhere in town that I want to walk. It's just a neat place to be for sure.
3 lakes, 3 creeks, a river.
Now, are you originally from Clarksville?
So I'm originally from Lamar.
Okay.
Well, Florida, but grew up in Lamar, graduated Lamar.
Okay, so Lamar.
Yeah.
All right, got it. There's a contingency of people, especially in the River Valley, especially those people who were born in the River Valley, who grow up and they say, well, I'm not going to U of O. I'm not going to Arkansas Tech. I cannot wait to get out of here. I'm leaving as fast as I can. And then they come back and they work for the chamber, or they make videos about how great the place they live is. What's the draw for you now versus growing up? Did you leave for a little while? Did you come back, or what's your story there?
So story, yes, graduated from Lamar, and that was it. Like I went to UCA because I wasn't going to Tech because everybody went to Tech, and like it was So story. So moved away for a little bit, joined the military, worked down at Camp Rob for a little while, graduated UCA, and I met my husband who was from Lamar, and I moved back. And so, but it's been great because, like, honestly, it's my favorite place just to raise kids. Like, it is such a good place. There's so much to do with the recreational side of stuff. I mean, you can take them fishing. And so, like, I was telling Matt on the way up here this last weekend, it was so peaceful. Like, we got our work, or we went to the farmer's market, got our yard work done, went down to the creek, hung out for a couple hours, went back. Like, I mean, it was just peaceful, and it was maybe 5 minutes down the road. And so, like, I love having all of this stuff, and even just driving throughout Johnson County, like, it's just like pastures and mountains, and it's so pretty out there.
When I asked you that question, what I noticed was you got really excited. You get really excited.
Yes.
Explain your passion for this area.
I don't know, because like growing up here, that was my mindset too. And so I think my passion is to change that. My passion is to educate, because there is a lot more. And if I would have known, of course, if I would have known what I know now, that's
Exactly.
whatever classic saying. But now, like, I'm in a position where I can educate, and I can. And so we started a junior leadership program for students to go and tour manufacturers, to go
Right.
and tour the recreational side of stuff, to educate them. Because again, like, you don't know what you don't know. And so, like, I think that it's really important to teach them. So then that way, go off, move. I'm not saying stay here forever, this is it. By no means. I go off, learn new things, inspire yourself, but then bring it back, like,
Right.
come help us grow, because we need engineers, we need accountants, we need doctors, like, it doesn't, we need those skill sets too, and to build a good community, and it's a fantastic community, but there are people who have that mindset, and until you are educated, you just don't know.
Yes,
We got a funny story that we can tell, I think, that kind of maybe describes some of that hospitality of Johnson County, or just that beauty of Johnson County. So we had a new business owner that moved to Johnson County, and they moved from California. They literally were driving through on a road trip that they had taken, and they found this business online for sale. They pulled in, they saw it, they bought it. And so it was like their second or third week of owning this business. It was right around Thanksgiving. And the week before Thanksgiving, they had 3 different individuals that came in and said, hey, what are your plans for Thanksgiving? And they're like, I don't know. They're like, you want to come to my house and eat Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
And it's so cool, like, to hear stories like that. But, when you have those people that are moving in from all those different areas, and you hear stories like that, and that's not the only story we've recently heard of of some of those people just moving into the area. But it's just such a kind of confirmation, like that this is a really great place to raise a family and a really great place to live and play and have fun. So
There's Ryan Harmon is a good friend of mine. He's
Yeah.
been on the show several times. We went and saw him play at the Wrecked Canoe recently.
Yes.
All of a sudden, the Wrecked Canoe has got local music and local musicians, and now you have the levee that's out there. There was the barbecue place for a little bit that had the music. I don't know if that's still open now. Can we talk about the importance of things to do and how to market them and how that brings folks into the area? I would never have known the Wrecked Canoe exist, but now you've got to go get those fries.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you got to
Yeah.
get the fries.
The shrimp wrap's really good too.
Oh.
It's my
I haven't.
go-to. But even then, like what I think's neat about it is like even the stage, like it's just creating a platform. So we have a group, a university professor who is starting a songwriter circle, but again, just an opportunity for musicians to get together and to play and to have that mentorship but just again, it's just building culture, building community, building culture, but having those musicians to where they can play at Rec Canoe, they can play at Piney Bay Coffee, they can play at Crosswoods, they can play, at all these different restaurants that we didn't have that before.
and that we're getting potentially more of.
Yeah. Yes, there's more.
That was a moment of, oh, there's a lot I can say. Oh, I can't say any of that. That's what that felt like.
can
Just
say-
So I can say some. So downtown, so we have the stage downtown. We are almost done with the construction, so we have the lights up, but there's still some art and some different things that we're going to add down there. But right next to it, the university has purchased that building, and they're looking to turn it into a restaurant, and that's about as much as I can say on that one.
got it.
But still a restaurant and potentially a microbrewery. That's neat to have
Okay.
downtown.
All right, that's interesting.
And then across the street, there's a gentleman he's purchased it, he's turned it into a restaurant, he's a private developer and kind of done some other properties in the community. And he's wanting to do a restaurant with a rooftop bar. And so that's pretty cool.
Wow.
To have that
That'd
right
be
across
cool.
the street from the levee, so you have all this live music going on, and you're sitting at the restaurant and just enjoying the creek right there downtown. So I'm pretty excited to see those types of things happen. And then right down the road, 2 buildings over, the university is also doing a bike shop. So that's exciting to see that come into fruition.
I've worked with Main Street Russellville
Yes.
here for several years. And one of the most, powerful moments, I don't know if that's the right word, moment that I really felt like we had done something was when you see some of the folks who you have heard say, well, we've never done it like this before, or I'm not sure about all this. Finally kind of let their guard down and enjoy the new moment and kind of enjoy the new vibe. It's not that we want to change anything per se. We want to add to what we have. Have you had those moments? And if you have, just kind of describe that feeling.
I think most people in the community have been very supportive of everything that's kind of transpired. You might have a negative comment here and there about some things,
Sure.
but I think overall, everyone's kind of excited about the momentum and the things that are happening.
So I do want to say, so my experience with it didn't used to always be that way.
Yeah.
There was definitely those that this is how we done it, so we're gonna keep doing it this way. But then you have those game changers, and so when they get into their for example, John Lester with CCU and the solar fields, that was a game changer. This was 2018 that we had the largest municipal solar farm in the state. That's a big deal. And so to do something like that for our size, that's getting outside the box. And so it's not until you started having those, which of course you still have people that are going to complain, and that's fine. But I feel like overall, once that's what a leader does. You're going to make the best decision. You're going to try to do what you feel to be best, and not everybody's going to be on board. But then 6 months later, then your vision is seen, and then, oh, okay, this is what we were doing. And you have those aha moments. And so, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that those aha moments have been pretty much the story of Clarksville over the last few years. And that's something that I want to touch on. tomorrow on the show. So if you want to hear more about that, you'll have part 2 of this interview coming up tomorrow. That is going to do it for the Spotlight on this Monday. Matt and Jessica return tomorrow to talk about all things Clarksville, and we'll talk about those aha moments. In the meantime, if you're interested in buying or selling your home in Russellville, Clarksville, do that. Call us today, 479-968-5668. We'll see you right back here with Matt and Jessica tomorrow.